e-learning Moodle course that I started putting together is still work in progress. So there are a lot of things that we might be adding later, and certainly all the remaining resources from Rebecca I'll put there as well. So there we go. Okay, so what I tried to do is basically I followed what Rebecca was doing, and I tried to replicate the sort of activities that we were doing using paper digitally. But before that, I'll just start with the assigned preparation, something that you didn't really touch upon that much. But there are a few activities that I thought would go really nicely with team-based learning. Okay, so for example, well, we have things like forum presentations, files, so that you probably know those things. But something that is really interesting is an activity called lesson, and this is this activity. Okay.
Does anyone use lesson at all in Moodle?
So again, I try to add a few other tools that we have available. One of them is Panopto, which probably some of you will be using Panopto. So I did the introduction, and basically this activity allows you to create like a sequence of different activities with different content with activities embedded. So for example, quizzes, or anything that you can do with forums or anything like that. And then what the students will have to do is they will have to go through the sequence that you've designed before. So we're just gonna go through very quickly that activity. So the first thing you have is the introduction, blah blah, and so on. So what is nice about using Panopto here is that first of all you have the PowerPoint presentation, and then you also have your video, obviously if that's what you want to have. So it's just a nice sort of personal touch. And then in this video I sort of explained what is it that they have to do in this activity. Once they watch this activity, they go into the mini lecture 1, and they have the content, a little bit of information, then they have further content. So here they have sort of more explanation of what they have to do. And I embedded a lot of different links. So this is again Panopto. But also for this session I used a Padlet board, which I'm going to show you later exactly how it works. But this is basically a board that I've used for a different workshop. And then that allows you to add, so for students can add their entries. And you can use just sort of, they can type something, or they can upload an image, they can record their feedback, whatever is sort of easier for them. Okay. Once they go through this part, there is a short quiz based on the resources that they've just engaged with. Again, I'm going to go through. So they have to choose. And then they have to submit. If there is any wrong answer, then that will take them back to the list of resources. So obviously that would mean that they have to engage with the content again. I press submit. This is the explanation of the quiz. So just in case if they want to read that again, but very often probably they won't do it. So you're just going to continue. And that takes you to the next set of recordings. So this is the second sort of mini lecture that I've mentioned at the very in the introduction. Again, they have different videos here. They have a short question. We're going to submit, and then that takes you again to a third lecture. So can you see the pattern? How this works? You have some sort of content and activities, and then you can put that very nicely into one activity. This is actually something that Lowell did, and I'd like to actually show it to you just because if you go here, so that will actually display the whole page from Panopto. And for those who don't know Panopto, I think it's really good because you have every slide, you have the title here. So, you know, if they go back through the content, you don't have to maybe go through the entire lecture, which sometimes it can be, I don't know, 20 minutes or even longer. But they can just go back very quickly to the part that they didn't understand. Okay, so I think that would be the lesson activity. So another activity that I've prepared is in the application exercise. So this is basically the same what you were doing with the IRAT or TRAT or the what is it called, if-at activity, the scratch cards. So this is the IRAT. Yeah, I'm going to go continue the last review. So you have the questions in the same way. Instead of using paper, you just create the questions here. So what is interesting here is that you can make sure that you display all the questions on one page, so they can remember what is it that they've put, and then they can click next, and then that will save their entry as an individual RAT. Whereas if they do the same activity as a TRAT, this one, it's slightly different because here you can you see the information of how many times you know, when you were scratching, you were able to scratch 1 second and so on. So this is exactly the same, but it just tells you how many times you've already scratched. It's marked out of 4. Was it 4? Yeah, it was 4, 3, and 2.
2.
And maybe mine is slightly different, but sorry. But you know, I mean, you see what it means. You can change that. So maybe we can do this one. So say they have a question, they discuss it, and then you put that, then they go check, and then you just get wrong information. Try again. Which one is the answer?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, go check, and then your answer is correct. And obviously you have to go through all of the answers. What I actually also did in here, just to sort of add a little bit of technology, in the first question, I've actually added a few things as feedback. So when they go through the questions, they can either go back to the resources that you've given them to start with, or if they choose the wrong answer, you can put that here. So they get the information, your answer is incorrect, and then information was you lost 1 point, and then this is the resource that maybe you should go back to have a look at. So this is just a video. Okay, so you can see here that on each activity you have the points. Sorry, my points are slightly different. How many points you've got, and then at the end, when you go into next, you have that information here again. So that will calculate. Once you submit all and finish, that will calculate the points.
And then would that feed through to each individual's profile?
Yeah. But what I did as well is because when you work in teams, you may want to have like different maybe quizzes or different activities. So what you can do in Moodle, you can create sections for individual teams. So like here, I've created 4 sections actually. We have Team 1, Team B, Team Bob, and Team Panopto. And then within that, you have different links to the sort of activities that they might be doing. The reason why I've done that is because this is actually activity that you haven't done in the end, but there was one activity when you would have to have like your own flip chart that you wouldn't be sharing with the rest of the colleagues. So that is something that would be good to have within your own section, and then you don't share that with other groups. So for example, this was this activity, which was in Padlet. So you had the application exercise, team A, and then you had to put the rationale. So that would be just for you. In the same way, you have the appeals. So each group would have different appeal. Yeah. Any other questions so far?
It's just, I'm just wondering how long because you've done this based on the material we've covered today, how long, in your experience, how long it would take you to set that up?
Okay, so actually, it took me, maybe like a few hours to set up the lesson activity, just because I've never done that before. And it was quite tricky to link everything. So the back end it was a little bit tricky. Whereas all the other stuff, we sort of had a discussion yesterday with Simon, and then we said, well, Simon suggested, well, it would be great to create a TBL course. So yeah, I worked a few hours yesterday and then today, and while you were doing all the other exercises, I was trying to put that here. So
I think the idea, Catherine, is that you can use it. So basically, you can use it in quizzes and
use
just fill it in with your own content.
Yeah, so you could use this as a shell and then and build your own.
Yeah, you back up and store it into your course. Yeah.
No, so sorry. So you would have a Moodle site for your course, but you would link to a team-based learning module as well that you could use inside there.
Presumably, yeah.
So that would mean, that would be a non banner numbered course, but you could then use the intellectual work that's gone into setting it up and not have to do that yourself.
Yeah.
But you could also use that as your main template.
Not if you're rolling materials over, you can't.
No, well, obviously there's like a transition process,
Yeah.
but you could use that as your main template.
Yeah.
And if you had other things that were, kind of like a separate summative assessment, probably added on to that.
Don't get me wrong, I build from scratch, but I think I might be in a minority each year. I build from scratch. I wouldn't necessarily want to have to work out the intellectual connectivities that it seems like Gosh has been struggling over for a couple of days now.
But to be honest, I wonder, like, if for example there are a few courses that would be doing team-based learning, that probably would make sense to create a shell that everyone is happy with on one, and then just import that.
Yeah.
There's the international problem as well, isn't there? Because if we're going to do this for assessment, then if we've got courses that are being delivered at overseas partners, then it's got to be available to them too.
Yeah.
So we've shown that you can run it on a paper base, so you'd have to have that, you almost might have to have two designs, one using the electronic mechanism and one using paper-based approaches.
I think the way how
Consistency.
Well, no, it's consistency of learning and outcomes and assessment. It doesn't matter about the delivery mechanism, does it?
Okay, sometimes.
I think for the link tutors, there's the traceability to make sure the partner did what you asked them to.
Yeah.
So there's that.
But because they don't use Moodle at the moment, do they? For their
Yeah, a lot
assessment?
of them.
They've got their own movies.
Just keep that a secret.
Sorry, can I just ask a question about where you've got those blocks? So where it says Team A and Team B, would it be then you've assigned the students to Team A, and so only the students in Team A can get into the materials in that?
So what you can do is this is called groups and groupings.
Yeah, I know how to do groups and groupings, but then I only used them in the forums, so I didn't know I could make that whole
you
block.
can have the whole
using the
section
training, right?
for one group.
We've been using that for assessment, so that the right assignments go to the right tutors in the anonymous-based marking system.
Yeah.
I think we might do it with the assessments as well, but like just having those blocks on the page where it's like the materials, because I'm doing group work.
Oh yeah, so that iconic.
So I've got groups doing different assessments, and we do group work in the class, and we're doing research in slightly different topics. And if I could like have,
You can also have a few other blocks.
I didn't know Moodle could do that. I'm just saying, this is a revelation to me.
I personally I
On new level.
especially that if you can have, I just only have 2 blogs here, but you can have a row of 5, for example. But then mind you, the only problem is that if students are using mobile devices, then they will have blog after blog. So that's just something to bear in mind. Whereas on laptop, it looks completely different. So you have, usually have 2 or 3 or 4, or how many you want to have in the blog.
But if you've got modules, it would work, isn't it? Because at the moment, if you like PPD2, we're on module 17, and you've got to scroll the whole way down the page.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, we already know that the way Web Services gives us Doodle isn't set in stone. We've been playing with icon-based interaction, so Nola and Christine have been doing that work. It's just convincing Web Services that needs to be the default rather than the linear. It has been something we've struggled with.
Okay, I'll also show you briefly 2 tools that you can use in class. And again, those are the tools that I just basically copy what you've done. Okay, so this is the last exercise that you've done, which is displayed there. So basically what I did is I put the explanation, then there are 2 links. Obviously you'll have to click on that to actually read it. So you have that information here. Then what we were playing with actually with Lowell is once you put the flip chart, so you can still use the flip chart, but then you take a picture, especially if you have like, I don't know, 120 students and maybe the gallery part may not be that, you may not be able to do it, then you can ask them to take a picture, and then you put the team names, and then you'll be able to see it, and then you can nominate 1 person from the team to add the comment. I think this is, this is Lowell's comment, so it's anonymous. And the way how you do it is just to give a link, and they follow that link and they have access to this Padlet.
Okay, so it's a Padlet you're using, it's a different, but you're accessing it through Moodle.
Yeah, the reason why probably it makes sense to access everything from Moodle is so you have everything there.
Yeah. I just didn't know you could do that.
You could also just create QR code, for example, so that you don't have to ask them to type, okay, now you're going to Padlet./something. So you could do that.
Gosh, you're quite close to the edge of the technological.
Yes, I was going to say.
Okay, there is a session. I'm just promoting myself, but next week I have a session where we talk about Padlet, Socrative, and a few other tools like that you can do. All of them are free, so you don't have to worry about subscription or anything like that. And we spend a little bit more time just to go technically what you have to do. But it's fairly easy. You just create an account. Oh, no, I'll have to create the whole thing. So I'm not going to show you.
No, you don't need to do that now. No, it's fine.
One more thing that I wanted to show is something that Gabriela, you've mentioned, Socrative. Let me just quickly. That's a free tool. What you do is you create an account and then you create quizzes there. They're quite limited, so you can only have multiple choice, short answer, and true and false. But you know, it's still good. So then what you do is it's a synchronous tool. So as long as your students have that, have any device, then they just have to either download an app or they go into internet browser. They go and they look for Socrative student. So I'm going to show you what this will look like as a student. Okay, now what they will have to do is once you start a quiz, we're going to do the quiz that you've done here as well. We'll start. So what they have to do is they have to use this room number, so type the room number here, and join the room. So they can either type the name or they can type the team. So say team 1, because you were doing that in Teams. And then this is exactly the same quiz that you were doing before. Nawal, you doing?
Yeah.
Okay. So I also asked Nawal to sign in, so we have 2 people.
What's the number again?
931484.
Sorry, 9?
31484. So I can see that Lowell already answered, and then there is someone else who's supposed to answer. So it's just a really good feedback very quickly that you can get.